Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, my friend. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excellent. I am still recovering from charcuterie heaven last week.
That board, I was dying looking at those pictures. I was just like salivating. I'm like,
Yeah.
how? And like all the like special extra touches there, the cameras, your picture, like I was amazing.
Yeah. So for those listening, I had my ribbon cutting and grand opening last week, and it was a nice big party. And, thank you to everybody that endured 40 or 30 or maybe less weather. Um, I was thrilled that I had purchased my big long jacket that goes all the way to my ankles. So I was toasty.
I
But
was
we had a
noticing
fire.
that as
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, of
You
course,
could see
Carly,
everyone else was
like
normal.
extreme all
Yeah.
the way to her ankles.
That's right, and I felt toasty warm and happy all night. Wool socks and wool shoes lined on the inside, so but yeah, we had this great charcuterie board and, I had requested, like, certain cheeses and, you know me, I love a good board, right? And, she took up the entire 6-foot table. I was, like, blown away by just the sheer spread, and then I start really focusing on the details, and I was like, "Oh, my logo. Oh, a camera. My face." So, yeah, my face was on a round of brie. I think this is like an Oscar for me. This is like winning a major trophy to have my face on a round of brie. I can't think of a higher honor.
Right? Oh,
So, yeah, it
but
wa
that
it
was
was really cool.
over the top beautiful, like because we've had charcuterie boards at many of our events, and
Yeah,
they do it right up there in Murphy.
they sure do. I was beyond impressed and excited. I just realized how many mushrooms we have going today.
Oh yeah,
Your
it's a
mug,
mushroom
earrings, our
day.
cup.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
So, what'd you
Love me
have
some.
this weekend?
What did I have
Event
this
one.
weekend?
Yeah, was there a sweat this weekend? Did I miss it?
No. Our next
Oh.
sweat is wait, did we have a sweat? I, I'm so confused. I'm like, I
Well,
was
you
just
sweat
telling
your hot
someone.
yoga, you sweat on the weekends.
Yes, I did not sweat this weekend. I did go to hot yoga. And it's so funny now because of like the sweat lodges. I don't sweat in hot yoga unless I go and specifically put myself under the infrared light. Otherwise I'm in
Wow,
there
look
going,
at that.
it's not hot enough in here. Yeah. How crazy is that?
I never thought I'd hear it because when you first started posting, I went to hot yoga today and your face was like beat, beat, beat red. And I was
Um,
like, oh my God, she's gonna die.
my face still turns red because that's this whole German and Irish complexion. It like nothing can be happening and I look red and people are like, "Are you okay?" Like, yes, I'm just German and Irish. That's all.
German and Irish. There you go. These things
Yes,
happen.
yes, they do. But I'm super excited about this. We've got the full moon in Virgo coming up, but it's also a total lunar eclipse. So they're calling it a blood moon because when the eclipse happens, the moon looks red. Um,
Yeah.
so super excited about our, well, I'm doing just a lowly little cacao ceremony. You've got the whole sound bath going with it, which is going to be incredible. Also
Yeah.
for me, it probably will be the last 2, 3 sweat lodges we've done in, or the cacao ceremonies we did in the sweat lodge. And I have already started setting up the sweat lodge for this cacao ceremony, but I'm suspecting it will be the last one that we do in there this season because I am not going to do it in there when it's hot. Like
Yeah. Some
I
summer is coming to you. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
Oh,
it's a little bit brisk this morning, so the weather is cooperating with me. I appreciate that so much.
well, I would call what we're experiencing here a bit brisk as well, although here it's more like 35 brisk. Um, But then it's like it's good. It's I think it's gonna get to like 60 today. So which 60 is like you start sweating at 60. I'm like, oh my God, it's so hot.
Exactly. See, now you know what
I
I'm talking
do.
about.
I get it. I totally get it. I have a feeling that if I ever go into some 90 or 100-degree weather, I'd probably just pass out. But I'm excited because in the last couple of cacao ceremonies, it's been so cold that we've stayed indoors the whole time. But tonight it shouldn't be that bad, and we could at least go out for like 5 minutes to like literally see the moon, not just have its energy, but the actual visual, so I'm super excited about that part too. And then yeah, the sound bath, it's going to be a big long juicy Friday. It's going to be nice.
Beautiful, beautiful. So our topic for today is, what is your favorite creative outlet and why?
Sorry, I'm sipping my cacao.
That's okay.
Sometimes as a parent, I think outlet. What outlet? Do I have time for outlets? Yes. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I thought about all these ideas, like for example, bad painting. I'm not a talented painter, but I will sit with it and do it. But my favorite creative outlet, which is not really anything at all, is sitting outside and staring at the trees. Like anytime I have a block, anytime I have an issue, if I just go sit outside, my life is infinitely better.
I love that. I do want to
Mm.
give a quick shout out to Carl, who's listening this morning. I love so much that our listenership is definitely ever expanding, because we used to call the show Voices of the Goddess. We changed it to Cacao Conversations, and but I do even conversations I've had this week with men, like I'm super excited that men are jumping on board, they're expanding their horizons, they're opening their hearts, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Um, yeah, I love the topic of
Absolutely.
creativity, because um, I think so often when we use the word creative, like people's minds like instantly jump to artistic kinds of things. Like, are you painting? Are you crafting? Are you, whatevering? And, um, like creativity, like we get to be creative about our creativity. There's so many possibilities out there as to what creative means. And I think, um, anytime we tap into that creative energy, like that's where new things come from, and so I don't know why I'm thinking of like Tesla and Edison, and like, you know they had to be creative to tap into the force of electricity so that we can now be sitting here on our laptop computers. And there was somebody creative who came up with the idea of the computer and the internet and all of this stuff. And so um, creativity isn't just about making things that are pretty to look at, but creativity impacts every aspect of our life.
Yeah, for me, I think creativity in the broadest sense is doing something outside of your routine, right? And so maybe what I still love, I mean, we still do this as a family, is go for a Sunday drive. Did you grow up like that at all? Where you just gotten, I
Um,
mean, of course, gas was like, 80 cents a gallon, but, you know, going for a Sunday drive, it's really
More so with
clearing your
my
mind.
grandparents than my parents. Like, I think I've shared before that in the summertime we used to spend 2 weeks with my grandparents so that my parents could have a kid vacation. And um, and they were into the whole driving thing. Like I feel like around, when you live in Fort Lauderdale, Miami-Dade, like where are you going to go for a drive? But up in Wisconsin, you get out, you're in the rolling hills, and just and in the fall, in the fall, of course, you're going to go do it because you're going to go see the colors of the leaves changing, and yeah.
In South Florida, I will say when the weather is just perfect, But you have to take a day off and do it like on a Tuesday or something because otherwise everybody has the same idea. But driving along the beach is really nice. Like you start in Fort Lauderdale and you just go up north until you get tired and then turn around and come back. And that's nice. More unusual things to look at than here. But the lots and lots of trees. I think this morning I must have seen, I don't know, about 10 deer just right there on the side of the road, and again, it's breaking up the routine, right? Like one of the things we wanted to talk about was what happens when you have a block. You're working on a project and you can't see through your obstacle to get to the answer, right? Or if you're doing something creative like painting and you can't figure out what to do next, you just have this like block. To me, it's change what you're looking at, stand up, walk around, go somewhere else, try a different creative outlet. I've done like I have literally a collection of bad paintings because I keep signing up for these painting classes and I learn nothing. But just the act of moving my hand across, a canvas, I feel like a baby Picasso, just to get that creativity flowing.
I've been talking about, I need like an air conditioned she shed where I can put all of my, because I do have a lot of creative things that I like to work with. And painting is one of them. Ooh, this is one of my paintings behind me here.
I love it. I think you're an amazing painter.
And like, it's funny for me because I look at, some of our other artist friends, like the painting that you have behind you there, like I could never even remotely paint anything that looks so like her paintings are so like realistic. It's like, is that a painting? Is that a picture? Like, how does she get it so amazing? So like, I'm like, I don't have that kind of talent, but even now in my new office, these paintings that I've done for, they've been hanging there for years. It's like people are just starting to notice them. I'm like, and then they're like, oh my God, you painted them? Oh, wow. Then they're super impressed. And I'm like, yeah, I haven't painted. I think it's been a couple of years since I painted just because of like the space involved and like bringing everything out. And so I need my own studio to be able to do more of that. And the fact that it's getting attention again, I'm kind of feeling like it's a sign from the universe that I need to start putting some paint on some canvas again. And I don't know the exact dates, but I did that giant 3 foot by 3 foot painting that I called the flame, but everybody has their opinions what it is when they look at it. I actually donated it for it's a fundraiser for pet rescue.
Oh, nice.
So I'm very curious to see, like, does someone actually bid on it, and I really hope it does and make some money for the pets to help.
Yeah. You brought up a good point about not painting because it requires leaving all this stuff, getting all this stuff out and that sort of thing. And for me, I definitely think it's like an ADHD thing in my house. Like for sure, my son is like the prime example. If you tell him to do something, but that thing that you're telling him has 2 steps before you can get to it, he's like, ugh, I can't do it. Like open the door and take the thing out. Like, no. So I do think that there is some value in leaving these creative options around so that they're easily accessible. So in my house, I do a lot of reading. My daughter does a lot of reading. So everywhere that there's a chair, there is a book next to it. Because inevitably, as soon as I sit down and I feel like, oh, I'm so relaxed, the book I want is like way over there. And then I'm like, forget it, and then I end up doom scrolling. So to combat that, I have put books at every station. So my house may look like it's littered with books, but they're intentionally placed to just make that creativity easy for me. I think it's why I moved into a house with so many windows so that I can always have a tree in front of my view. Like no matter where I turn in the house, I can always look outside,
Beautiful.
And that was so different than my Fort Lauderdale house. Like my Fort Lauderdale house, I could look out the front and the back, but the sides, all I would see was like the sides of my neighbor's house. So that wasn't inspirational to me, on both sides. So I'm glad I'm in a 360. If I could have bought a yurt, I probably would have.
Love it. So, well, and it is easier, my obsession with crystals and gemstones and making my malas. And that's it doesn't occupy as much space as painting stuff does. So those are always within reach. And I that I can do with a little less disrupting of my tiny house here. And super excited. I got 2 orders for new malas this week, and so I always get excited when I have like a destination already, like this is going to somebody. I do, make them just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
And those I post online and people see, but when someone orders, like they've put intention and thought about what it is that they want and why they want it, like that's that just makes it even more exciting. Like, and
I was gonna say, it feels so special.
it does. And like as I'm making it, it's like putting my prayers and blessings into that specifically for that person, as opposed to when I'm just making one for the fun of making it. Yes, it has a lot of love and intention and good things in it, but it's not specifically directed to the person that it's going to, because I don't know who it's going to.
Yeah, right. And let's talk about creativity as healing. Like, let's not forget that part too, this I have seen so much with painting. There's a local artist here in Murphy. Her name is Hope. And the last bad painting that I did with her. She did a sound bath with painting afterwards, and she had an exhibit here at the Cherokee County Arts Council. And part of her project was taking painting into prisons. And so a lot of the items that were on display were folks that were in prison that were painting, just from their gut, like no direction, no, like you have to do this or you have to use this color or you need to do this specific thing, but paint what you feel, paint what you feel on the inside. And the words that came out of these folks, and the things that they drew, and nobody was like a really great artist. Like, it's not like something like that came out, but so much of just the process of being creative is the healing part. And it's almost like just getting out of your head, right? Just get out of your head, let your body do the movement, whatever that might be. And for me, your brain is processing all of these things that you've kind of been squashing down for a long time. And sometimes just the act of getting it out is enough, right? Like just the act of recognizing where something comes from is healing enough. And you're like, man, I've just figured it out. I can move on, right? It's okay. That no longer serves me, so don't be afraid of the bad art, don't be afraid of the bad writing or the bad
There's no such thing as bad art. Whatever, It's just art, and it's amazing to me too sometimes, like things that I've looked at that I'm like, oh, nobody would ever appreciate that, like, ugh, like it just wasn't appealing to me. But then you see someone else come in and be like, wow, this is like the most interesting thing I've ever seen. And this, so like, again, there is no such thing as bad art. It's just who that piece of art is going to touch and move. And I think too that it's about just the creative force behind it and how it moves you, because things can be ugly and still like bring emotion out of you. And um so art doesn't have to be beautiful to be good.
Well, beautiful is subjective, right?
Exactly.
Another one that I was thinking about was our friend Lori Lynn, who just came out with her new book. Let me see, which I have. Oh, it's in the other seating area, but Manaholic, she processed a lot of life experiences and she reduced it all to writing, and she's got this great book that
I got the
I,
honor of having
I
my
really
son.
think there you go. I think writers write for themselves. I think any creative does what they do for themselves, but like you were saying, to your point, it is so incredibly healing for others that read it or see it or feel it and experience it and say, wow, I'm not alone. The thing I hear the most in entrepreneurial circles, in women's circles, men too, is I feel alone. I feel so alone in what I'm doing. No one understands what I'm going through. Every mom or dad that I talk to feels like they're the only one whose kid is driving them nuts and they feel guilty, right? um Everyone who writes feels like what they write is garbage. We were talking about like the creative journey, like the entrepreneurial journey. It's like, oh, this is a great idea. This is terrible. What have I done? I might not be so bad at this. Hey, wait, I'm changing lives. No, this is garbage. Throw it all away. And it's so common that just hearing someone else experiences that is so, I don't know, just reassuring for me. Like, okay, this is part of the process. Touch the process. So
Yeah.
don't be afraid. I guess that's my real big point here is don't be afraid, because you think what you do, you're doing in isolation, but really it will be of value, to the world.
And like, there's you can write a book, but you don't even necessarily have to write a book for someone else to read. Like, journaling is one of our favorites. It is a creative outlet to just sit and write. And, um, you know, you may turn your journal entries into a book one day, or it may just be just for you and getting it out and getting that pen on paper or typing. Like journaling doesn't have to be written, it can be typed as well.
Or spoken. You could even,
That's
nowadays you
what I
could
was
just
going to
record
say
it
next.
yourself. Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
you know who did that? Alexa Carlin. She talked about how she had kept all of these journals for years and years and years. And one day she realized all the lessons that she had picked up over the years through these journals, and she wrote a book about it. I want to say it's called Adaptable, if I'm not mistaken. I have that too somewhere on the shelf, but exactly that. And then did you see the woman the other day? Cutest thing in the world. She's like 90 years old, and she has been her dad told her to start writing in her diary when she was 10 years old. So she literally has, from the time she was 10 up to her present day, she writes in a journal or in a diary, right? Every single day. So she has 80 years of her life completely documented, what she did, where she went. And imagine if you're 90 years old today, I can't even do the math, whatever year that was, there has been a whole ton of life and politics and health and medical stuff and spiritual stuff and babies and grandbabies and her entire life is documented. Like, I just think that's the coolest thing in the world.
That's wild. The only time I did that was the year I spent abroad as an exchange student. I made sure to write down every day, like what I did that day. And I haven't done it in a long time. I should probably go and dig it up and do it again. But every once in a while, I would pick up, like today's March 11th, I would go pick up and see what was I doing. And that would have been
Wow.
March 11th, 1987. What was I doing in Venezuela on that day? And
Wow.
especially when you get to this age, it's like, I don't remember half the stuff I did. And, sometimes I would go and just check it out and be like, oh, wow, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, that was really cool. So, but there is that like recording what you did, but then, there's just like a lot of times when I'm journaling, it's just like, free flow channeling, automatic writing, whatever comes out. And um a lot of times I'm like blown away with the wisdom that comes out when you take the ego out of the way and just let information flow. So I'm suspecting you're pausing. And now you're
Well,
frozen.
I was gonna say, I think I'm definitely having Wi-Fi issues because you sound like R2D2 to me, but that's okay. I don't know if you're picking any of this up, but
No, you will love
horrible. Look at that
the
picture.
freeze frame of your face right now
I can
is
see it.
priceless.
I can see it. I can see it. That's great. That's
No,
great. All good.
but what I
All good. Can
what I
you hear
was
me at
going to
all or
say,
no?
I can hear you absolutely fine. Yes. But what I
Okay.
was going to add, since we were talking about journaling, like we have to do a little plug for um, our aligned living journal, because sometimes it is like it's overwhelming to sit at a blank piece of paper and start to put something down on it. And so um, I love journal prompts, like to just give you, and
Going.
even sometimes like it gets you going, and then sometimes even like whatever the prompt was, it was just what you needed to get started, and like where you end up going has nothing to do with the initial prompt anyway, but it just you just need like that little kickstart to get things flowing. And I think people would be amazed if they start putting more out there and seeing what comes from within them, because the truth is it's all within each and every one of us. It's just a matter of tapping into it.
Yeah. And let me go ahead and give people permission. Like you can start something and then put it down and not finish it, or finish it later, or finish it in 6 months, or finish it in a year. So, as much as we wrote that journal meant to be 30 days, it doesn't have to be 30 consecutive days. It could take you 6 months to do 30 days worth of journaling. You know, sometimes we've done like sound baths and things like that, where I've invited folks back a week later, 2 weeks later, and they're like, I'm actually still processing the first one, because each of these experiences, each of the prompts, each of your creatives, your painting, whatever it is that you're doing, process it, take time with it, sit with it. So many times, like especially on your table, with the healings that you do, you lay there, you spend 45 minutes or an hour doing this and this and the arms and the things, but then you don't like fully realize. I hope that froze for you all. Congratulations. But the like sometimes it's 2 weeks later and you're like, oh, the thing just hit me, and you just had this like massive awakening because you were processing it. Like it takes time. You can't undo 50 years worth of trauma in a 30-minute thing and expect to have all the answers right there, right? So don't do one journal entry and then look around and say, okay, did my life change? Did it? Give it time, let the process happen, right? And if you need to stretch it out, do it. That's like so much of the way our culture is that we are programmed to wake up at a certain time and go to sleep at a certain time and accomplish these 7 things throughout the day, particularly in school when it was like walk in, pledge of allegiance, do the prayer, sit down, open your notebook, da, 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 da. And we don't realize that as adults we're still in that mode, right? Get up, go to the meeting, finish the meeting, write the note about the meeting, and da, 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 da. And all of these things we're reading about, multiplying our lives and multitasking, and so just fucking relax. I don't know how else to say. Like, just give it a minute. It's okay. Like the other day I was talking to my friend Mary Jo, and someone gifted us a book, which by the way, what a gift. Like the fact that someone gave me a book as a gift, I'm like, oh my God. But I was saying, I can't start it right now. I have 5 books going. And she goes, I have 8. It's okay. Like we have multiple books going all at the same time, and that's okay too. So free yourself from all of that. It's all
So
just made up anyway.
as you're talking about time, and I say all the time is not real. And I was listening, I don't know, podcast or something, and I'm probably going to explain this wrong because science doesn't really matter that much to me anymore. But there's something called the Schumann resonance, which is like the speed of time. And I'd heard about this years ago, and that time is speeding up. But I just heard this week or last week that what you know in 24 hours, like what 24 hours now is really like 16 hours. So, here we are trying to do what we used to fit, like, because do you ever get this feeling like, how did I not get these things done today? Like, there should have been plenty of time to get it all done. Well, the reason you didn't get it all done is because, yeah, you're measuring that to what you used to get done in 24 hours, but what is 24 hours now is like what 16 hours was then. So you have,
Mm.
you know, do the math, 8 hours less time to get things accomplished in a day. Does that make sense?
And if you look at it, how much of your life is literally spent in transitional spaces, right? Like driving places, waiting for your doctor's appointment, getting to the next thing, somebody's 15 minutes late for this meeting and someone else is 30 minutes late for that meeting. And, there's so much time that's in transition. And then do you have help or not, right? Like that's the other thing. Like I hate that comparison that says J-Lo or Beyonce, they also have 24 hours in their day. Well, sure, if I had $12 million and the staff that comes with it, I'm sure I could do all those things too. So like cut yourself some slack. It's okay if you don't get to be creative every single day. Just listen to your body, and when you feel that urge, like follow it, even if it's just for 5 minutes, but just follow it for 5 minutes. Cooking is another creative outlet. There are blessed people, thank God for them, that they can open up a pantry and see a bunch of loose things and make a meal out of it. I don't have that. We're recipe people in my house. We're recipe people. We're not intuitive cooks, but people that have that vision and that, ability, man, that's a cool creative outlet. Y'all can invite me for that for sure.
Right. And since we're talking about food, like if you need help with your creativity, I highly recommend Cacao. Like, I think back to that first retreat that we planned, and you and I sat down and like we didn't know what we were doing. We just had this inspiration that we're going to start leading retreats. And we sat down, we had our cacao ceremony, and we planned that retreat. Like we had it all. And like those of you that know Graciela, and like the level of when we say planning, Graciela takes it to like a whole nother level. But we had that thing done in, I don't know how many hours we spent that day, but it was like in one day, and it wasn't like working sun up to sundown. Like in that one day, that cacao just like made it all just flow out of us. So if you're like wanting to be creative and struggling to tap into it, like there's tools that can help you, and cacao is definitely a powerful tool to help open up your creativity. And I think that's because creativity does come from your heart. And um, so
Absolutely.
how the heart
Absolutely.
opener will open up your creativity.
So let's talk about what we have coming up. We have our webinar coming up. We have our retreat coming up. That's getting full. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. And so the webinar that we have coming up too is to give people, like if you're thinking about the retreat, but you're not sure if you want to join it or not, that webinar is a good place to jump on and kind of get a feel for the energy that is going to be present in the retreat. And I have to say this too, because yesterday I was talking to someone, saying like, I want these retreats to be more full. I mean, yes, there's the financial, like it's better for me if they fill up more, but mostly like just hearing the stories, the transformations that are happening in the lives of the women that are attending these retreats. So I want more women to experience that. And this person says to me, well, did you ever think about teaming up with someone who does yoga so that this can be a yoga and you retreat? And I'm like, no. And like that's exactly what I don't want to do, because I feel like when you go out there and look into the retreat world and what's available, like every retreat out there is a yoga retreat. I don't want to go to a yoga retreat. I go to my hot yoga here. I enjoy that. I love that. But I can do that here every day. Like I don't want to go on a retreat for yoga. Like I want my retreat to inspire me, to change me, to shift me, to inspire me. Like that's what I want from a retreat. And I want to like refuel my soul and just, you know, feel wonderful. And so our retreats are not yoga retreats.
But I will say they are retreats with movement. So everybody's different. You know, some people want to just, you know, sit down and lay down for 7 days straight, and there's space for that. And also, there is tremendous value in moving your body. And so, even though this upcoming retreat isn't a yoga retreat, we have had yoga, a little bit of yoga, and some other retreats that we've had. But this one is going to be more along walking calmly and peacefully, no strenuous hiking through nature. You
In
know,
the
even
tent if
the
they
house.
want to.
Yeah, you can. Oh no, you can absolutely sweat on this retreat if you want to sweat. Like you absolutely can. There's some suicide stairs that you could do that are just insane. Um, and you get rewarded with a waterfall and an amazing view. But there is movement, and I think movement is part of integration. But you're right, yoga is now so accessible that you really can create that practice on your own. And I do think yoga is incredibly healing. I think it's a million years old for a reason. I mean, there's definitely value in it. But we wanted to bring something new and different to the space. And I think that's why our combination of our usual retreat stuff, cacao, sound bath, guided forest therapy, you know, the four elements, bringing in water and earth and fire. Like to me, all of those different combinations, that's what makes ours totally unique. And it's completely accessible. Like it's not expensive at all. Honestly, we could have charged double and it would have been well worth it. So definitely check it out. I think we did say we have one waterfall, like Mac Daddy room available. And then we've got some shared spaces as well. But even the food is going to be not by me because I'm not the cook, but made with love, so delicious, healthy. I don't think there's any pizza on this retreat. So, you know, we're going to keep you fueled for all the things we have planned. And it's going to be pleasant. You know, sure, there's parts of you that you are going to release and you're going to have, you know, those types of experiences. But also, if you need to just relax and stare at the trees for a minute, we've built in time for that. You know, it's not going to be a go, go, go retreat. It's going to be go, rest, like that. So anyway, more on that during the webinar.
Yes. And all the links for all of our events and everything are in the show notes. So check it out there. Reach out to Graciela and I. We love to talk about this stuff. Like sometimes you can't shut us up about this stuff. But yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right. Is this a wrap?
I think so. Hold on. I'm getting the link because I really want to put it in the comments. Let me see if I'm like smart enough to put it into the comments. Hold on. I think I'm smart enough for
I know you are.
now I'm testing my eyesight. Hang on here. Okay.
Which is why even though I have a glare, I still have to have my reading glasses on so I can see all of that.
Okay. Let's see. There we go. All right. There is the link for the retreat. So definitely check it out. Super easy. Body and soul events.love/4 elements. And call us and ask us questions. Like literally, my phone number is 828-214-5787. Just call me. It's not a secret. You can find me. It's no big deal.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, we hope to see you there. And I'm going to wish you all a very magical day.
Bye.